So, let us we start with the Engler and Prantl system of classification. Earlier we have talked about the Bentham and Hooker system of classification, Takhtajan system of classification. Now we would deal with the Engler and Prantl system of classification. As I earlier told you that the Bentham and Hooker system is the natural system, while the Takhtajan is the phylogenetic, and similarly in case of this Engler and Prantl, it is also phylogenetic system of classification. Engler, Adolf Engler, as well as the Carl A.E. Prantl, both were the German botanist. They worked together and published a monumental work, that is the De Naturalian, Flans and Familian, in 23 volumes. Yes, it is. It is published in 23 volumes, De Natural, Flans and Familian, and they covered almost the focus on the plant phylogeny as well as the evolutionary relationship between the plant groups. They focus on that. So, we were talking about the Engler and Prantl system of the classification. Engler and Prantl, Adolf Engler as well as the Carl A. Prantl was the German botanist. They worked together and published a monumental work, that is the De Naturale, Flans and Familien, and they focused on the plant phylogeny and the evolutionary relationship between the plant groups, and divides the plants into large groups based on their evolutionary characteristic rather than just morphological traits. As the Bentham and Hooker, their classification based on the morphological traits and morphological natural characters, you can say, while Takhtajan based on the morphological and phytogeographical characters as well as the phylogenetic relationship. Here the Engler and Prantl, he also focused on the phylogeny as well as the evolutionary relationship of the plant groups, and he divided the plant groups into large based evolutionary characteristics rather than the morphological traits. So, what are the features of the Engler and Prantl system of classification? They emphasized the evolutionary relationship and organizes the plant based on their evolutionary history. So, they focused on the evolutionary history. What is the evolutionary history of the plant group? So, wide scope covers all the plant groups from algae to angiosperm. That is the main point of the system of the Engler and Prantl. He covered almost all the groups of the plant, either it is algae or it is fungi or it is bryophyte or pteridophyte or whatever it is. So, he covered all the groups of the plants. Hierarchical classification uses major categories like division, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species, and common ancestor was taken into the species 1, species 2 and species 3. So, historical background, if I said that Adolf Engler, born on 1844 and died on 1930, the professor, he was the professor of botany at the Berlin University as well as the director of the botanic garden of the university, and Carl A.E. Prantl. Carl A.E. Prantl was born in 1849 and died on 1893. They collaborated with the Engler and the classification system, and both worked together very hard, Engler as well as Prantl, Carl A.E. Prantl. They worked together and published a phylogenetic system of classification in 23 volumes, that is called De Naturalian, Flans and Familian. 23 volume based on the phylogenetic system. That is the main feature of the classification. an outline of the classification division Embryophyta Siphonogamia. It is the 12th division, you can sorry, it is the 13th division. Division first to 12 deals with the division first to 12 deals with the algae, fungi, bacteria, pteridophytes, etc., etc., and all the others groups of then the division 13, that is the Embryophyta Siphonogamia. The Embryophyta Siphonogamia covers the angiosperm as well as the gymnosperm. So the classification, the main we have to cover the angiosperm, because we are talking about the morphology of the angiosperm characteristics. So we will deal with the angiosperm. Even the Embryophyta Siphonogamia cover the gymnosperm as well as the angiosperm. Both the groups of the plants are covered, but we will focus only on the angiosperm. Gymnospermy is in the other paper, so we will focus only on the angiospermy. In case of the angiospermy, that is divided into two groups, that is the monocotyledony and dicotyledony. These are the two classes. The Embryophyta Siphonogamia is the 13th division of the classification given by the Engler and Prantl. This Embryophyta Siphonogamia deals with the two subdivisions, that is the gymnospermy and angiospermy. Division first to 12 deals with the algae, fungi, bacteria, pteridophyte, bryophyte, etc., etc., and 13 with the angiospermy and the gymnospermy. The angiospermy is divided into two classes, that is the monocotyledony and dicotyledony. It is important to note over here that the monocot has been placed first before the dicot, because this system is depend on the phylogeny, that is the evolutionary similarities, evolutionary trends. So it is believed that the monocot is more advanced than the dicot. So that's why he placed the monocot first, or you can say the before the dicot. Then the dicot divided into two subclasses, that is the Archiclamidae and Metaclamidae. Archiclamidae, you can say the polypetally, Metaclamidae is the gamopetally. So the monocotyledony having the 11 orders and 45 families, while the Archiclamidae having 33 orders and 206 families, while the Metaclamidae having 11 orders and 52 families. Then the division of the Embryophyta Siphonogamia is, as I already told you, that the gymnospermy and angiospermy, it is a dicotyledony and monocotyledony. Then the Archiclamidae is further divided, as Archiclamidae is having the it is called as apetally, and Metaclamidae is the sympetally. So the in case of the apetally, the corolla polypetalous, it is divided into three major groups. The corolla, where the corolla is polypetalous, and the second is the perianth in a single or double. Then the includes 33 orders and 201 families. This is the Archiclamidae includes the 33 orders and 201 families, while the Metaclamidae includes the 11 orders and 52 families. And it is important to point out over here the Hans Malker. In 1964, he modified the system of the Engler and Prantl, and he given the, instead of the 13 division, he given the 16 17 divisions, and and the number of the families also covered more. So in 1964, that important to note, but just you have to important to note that in 1964 the Hans Melker given some changes in the system. So monoclem ID having the 11 orders and 45 families. The order of the pentanales ends with the microspermia in the family. Now first we go through the archiclem ID. Archiclem ID having the 33 orders and 206 families that divided into the argument divided into three groups. That the order starts with the verticillati and ends with the umbelliferae, and the family starts with the Casuraceae as in case of the verticillati and ends with the coronary, that is the last family of the Archiclamidae. And the Metaclamidae starts with the order Dapensiales as with the ends with the Campanulati, and the family with the Dapensiaceae as well as the Compositae or the Compositae. And monocot having the 11 orders and 45 families. Then the monocot starts with the pendanales and ends with the microspermia, and the family that will is starting family of the monocot of the Engler and Prantl system is the Typhaceae, and the last family of the Engler and Prantl system of the monocot is the Archidaceae. And because of the phylogenetic system is there, so Archidaceae considered, as I have already earlier told you, that the Archidaceae considered the highly advanced family among the monocot. So he placed Archidaceae in the last of the monocot. And in case of the Bentham and Hooker system, it is one of the demerit of the Bentham and Hooker system that the Archidaceae placed in mid of the monocot and the Poaceae in the last, but it is considered that if the phylogeny is there, then a phylogenetic characteristic is there. If we consider the phylogenetic relationship, then the Archidaceae has been considered by most of the workers and most of the plant worker who given the classification that the Archidaceae is the highly advanced family. So it must be placed on in the last, while the Bentham and Hooker placed in the mid. That is the one of the demerit of the Bentham and Hooker system that I have already discussed when we were talking about the Bentham and Hooker system. But here it is a merit of the system that the Archidaceae has been placed in the last of the monocot. So then the evolutionary concept in the Engler and Prantl system. The Engler and Prantl proposed the plants evolved from the simpler form to more complex form over time. The phylogenetic tree concept, the more primitive groups are placed at the base with the more advanced groups higher up. The system was based the progression from the simple to complex. How they arrange the families, how they arrange the groups, they arrange the progression from the simple characters to the complex characters. So that is why it is up to date in terms of the phylogenetic tree concept. So he plays the simple characters, the families with the simple characters, or the evolutionary point of view, the simple progression is the first, as well as the from the complexity towards the complexity, it is the last, you can say. Then the just so you have to remember that the Hans Melker has made some changes in the Engler and Prantl system. That is the another topic. So, how they have modified the system in 1964, they have increased some divisions, they have increased some families instead of the total number of the families. That is here it is almost 45 and 206 and 52. 298 families, while in case of the after the revision of the Hans Melker, it was 364 families was included in this system, and divisions 17 division instead of the 13. There are 17 division that was the modified by the Hans Melker in 1964. So, that is another point to note, the Hans Melker. If the question is asked that who has modified the Engler and Prantl system, your answer must be of that the Hans Melker. In 1964 they have modified the system. And how many numbers of volumes are there in case of the denatured flange and familian? The 23 volumes published in 1893. Most of and the criticism and limitation the system was criticized were being overly focused on the morphological traits. The modern genetic data, molecular phylogenetics, has changed some of the classification. The simplicity of the system categories has been questioned in light of the more complex molecular relationship. That is the criticism, and first we have to discuss the merits, then we would come to the criticism of the system. So, merits, what are the merits? It is a phylogenetic system, no doubt it is a phylogenetic system. So, the plant groups are arranged mostly according to evolutionary affinities, mostly according to evolutionary affinities. What are the affinities are there, what are the similarities are there, so that are arranged according to their similarities. The primitive groups followed by advanced characters. The primitive group followed by the advanced group. The first they arrange the families with the primitive characters, then they gone through the advancement. So, in the last they arrange the advanced families with the advanced character, as in case of the monocot, you have seen that the starting with the Typhaceae and ending with the Archidaceae. Archidaceae, I have already told you. Typhaceae is the primitive family in case of the monocot, or the Archidaceae. Of course, it is the highly advanced. Then the second merit of the system, it provides the modern taxonomic keys for the identification of each group of the plants. What they did, they provides the modern taxonomic keys. Why it is the modern? They considered almost all the system provides modern taxonomic keys. So, because the modern taxonomic key based on the evolutionary trends, that's why it is the key is based on the taxonomic characters that considered the modern basis. Then the gymnosperm treated as a separate group. It is one of the merit of the main merit of the system, because they separated the gymnosperm from the angiosperm. They treated separately its position before the angiosperm is very accurate, because the gymnosperm considered to be as in case of just see where is the gymnosperm. Gymnosperm is the first and the angiosperm is the last. So, gymnosperm has separately has dealt with the Engler and Prantl. So, treat a separate group, its position before the angiosperm is very accurate, and it is perfect accordance to the modern concept of the evolution. The position of the angiosperm is the perfect. Then the position of the Orchidaceae at the monocot is also very accurate as the most evolved family of the monocot. I have already told you that it has been considered that the monocot, among the monocot, the Orchidaceae is the highly advanced. So that's why it is has been placed in the last. And similarly, in case of the dicot, the Asteraceae considered to the highly advanced family among the dicot. So, because of the gene elasticity as well as the on the basis of their survival in the adverse condition, the members of the Asteraceae found almost everywhere from the pole to the Arctic region. Everywhere the members of the Asteraceae is found because of the reproductive capacities, always the high gene plasticity. The members survived everywhere. So, Asteraceae considered the most advanced family among the dicot. Then the anatomical data were taken into consideration in this system of classification for the first time. And though the Takhtajan also considered the anatomical data, anatomical, embryological, cytological, paleobotanical. So, we can't say that for the first time they have considered, although the Engler and Prantl published their system before the Takhtajan. So, we can say they were the first person to consider the anatomical data in their system. That is why you may say that they considered the anatomical data for the first time. But Takhtajan also considered the same character, anatomical character, as well as many more characters in their system. Then the criticism, or you can say the shortcomings of the system. The system are criticized for being overly focused on the morphological traits. Much focus has been given to the morphological traits. And next is the modern genetic data, molecular phylogenetic has changed some of the classification. On the basis of their modern genetic data, they changes some places of the families. And third is the simplicity of the system categories has been questioned in light of the more complex molecular relationship. So, the system having the categories questioned, the more complex molecular relationship has been questioned and criticized. So, this was